Very good afternoon. This is the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Here are the headlines first. Issue of water crisis resonates in Rajya Sabha during 0 hour. Chairman expresses concern, says will allow a short duration discussion if members give notice. Upper House to discuss motion of thanks to the President's address in post-lunch session. Three key bills, including Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill, Aadhaar and Other Laws Amendment Bill 2019 and SEZ Amendment Bill 2019 introduced in Lok Sabha. Discussion on motion of thanks begins in the lower house. Supreme Court issues notice to Bihar government and centre on encephalitis deaths, seeks response within a week. Encephalitis death toll touches 152 in Bihar. And Mayawati ends alliance with the Samajwadi Party, says Bahujan Samaj Party will contest all future elections on its own. Blames the split on SP's attitude post Lok Sabha polls. First up, news on budget session of Parliament, and the motion of thanks on the President's address was moved in Lok Sabha by BJP MP Pratap Chandra Sarangi today. Motion of thanks in Parliament is the one that follows the address of the President to the joint sitting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Amid protests by the opposition, Sarangi listed the government's achievements, initiating the discussion on the motion.
Please, Mani Sadasya. Sir, please, Mani. Sir, one of our great. Please, Mani Sadasya, please. Are told culture and his industry. Now this has been translated into action by our Narendra Modi. Sir, we have never heard of skill development in the 10 years of UPA rule, in the 55 years of Congress rule. We have never dreamt of skill development. The necessity was not felt. Now Narendra Modi introduced skill development and our human resources have been great height. Sir, if you crush a piece of stone, it will be worth 300 rupees. If you carve an image, it will be 55,000 rupees. This is value addition. This is industry.
And now a look at the bills which were introduced in the House a short while ago. The Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2019 was moved and introduced by MOS for Home G. Kishan Reddy. The bill provides for amendments in the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Act 2004 to bring persons residing in areas adjoining the international border within the ambit of reservation at par with the persons living in areas adjoining the actual line of control.
कार्यसूची में जम्मू और कश्मीर आरक्षण अधिनियम 2004 का संशोधन करने वाले विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने के लिए अनुमति चाहता हूं.
And also the Aadhaar and Other Laws Amendment Bill was moved and introduced by Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. Now, it amends the Aadhaar Targeted Delivery of Financial and Other Subsidies, Benefits and Services Act of 2016, the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885 and the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. RSP MP N.K. Chandran opposed the introduction of the bill.
The bill allows the private entities to hold Aadhaar data where the Supreme Court has opposed it. The private entities has no authority to hold the Aadhaar data for their own use. That is the specific direction which is given by the Supreme Court. So, clause 24 of the bill is also against the spirit of the Constitution. And coming to clause 25 of the clause 25, inserting a new section 11A in the Prevention of Money Laundering Act of 2002, which allows banking companies to conduct Aadhaar-based authentication or offline verification. All these provisions are violating the fundamental rights of the people of this country, citizens of India.
All the issues he has raised have been dealt with elaborately by the Honorable Supreme Court. Aadhaar is a valid law. Aadhaar is in national interest. Aadhaar does not violate privacy. That they have said very clearly. Now, sir, the second point about Prevention of Money Laundering Act and the Telegraph Act, what the Supreme Court said. You are coming by the rules or by a circular. Don't come by a rule or circular, come by law. Therefore, those two amendments are there. And sir, I want to just ensure there is no mandatory compliance. SIM card can be taken either by Aadhaar or any other document. The same is the case of money laundering. And sir, let this House know with great respect, today 68 crore people have taken SIM card through Aadhaar. 65 crore bank accounts are there through Aadhaar.
And Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal introduced the Special Economic Zones Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the Special Economic Zones Act 2005, which provides for the establishment, development and management of special economic zones for the promotion of exports.
Speaker, sir, with your kind permission, I move for leave to introduce a bill to amend the Special Economic Zones Act 2005. Also to introduce the bill.
And the issue of water crisis unfolding in the country resonated in the Rajya Sabha during Zero Hour today. The members raised concerns over the worsening water crisis in the country. The chairman also expressed concern over the issue. He said he was ready to allow a short duration discussion on the issue on priority if the members give a notice.
देश में पीने का पानी और पानी की कमी और इस संकट से त्रस्त जहां सब नागरिक हैं और ये समस्या हमारे साथ नई नहीं है। महाराष्ट्र, मध्य प्रदेश, उत्तर प्रदेश, झारखंड, ये समस्याएं बड़ी और व्यापक है और इनका स्थायी निदान करना चाहिए, उसका उपाय करना चाहिए, क्योंकि पानी के बिना सब मुश्किल ही मुश्किल है। इसलिए पीने के पानी का प्रबंध करने के लिए और मैं सरकार को बधाई देना चाहूँगा कि उनने जल शक्ति मंत्रालय गठित किया है। अब जल शक्ति को वास्तव में उपयोग करते हुए और ऐसी योजनाएं बनाना चाहिए जो कि पानी की समस्याओं के बारे में, नदियों के पानी के उपयोग के बारे में उत्तर में, दक्षिण में, पूर्व में, पश्चिम में और मध्य क्षेत्र में ऐसे 5 बड़े प्रोजेक्ट बनाए जो नदियों को जोड़ने के लिए हो और उसके माध्यम से जो हमारा अतिरिक्त पानी है उसका उपयोग हम अपने पीने के पानी के लिए, कृषि के लिए कर सकें। और इसलिए मैं आपसे आग्रह करना चाहूँगा कि इस सारी समस्याओं को गंभीरता से लेते हुए सरकार।
आज पूरे देश में पानी का संकट इतना गंभीर हो गया है कि आने वाले दिनों में भूगर्भ वैज्ञानिकों का कहना है कि कई शहरों में पानी का स्रोत भूतल सूख जाएगा, पानी रहेगा ही नहीं। तो अगर पानी नहीं रहेगा तो जीवन कैसे रहेगा। मैं आपसे मांग करता हूं कि सरकार से निर्देश दें आप कि इस पर तत्काल कार्रवाई करें और पानी की समस्या का समुचित हल निकालने का।
धन्यवाद। मेरा एक सुझाव है सभी सदस्यों को, जो हफ्ते में हम लोग एक बार कॉल अटेंशन या शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन डिस्कशन लेते हैं ना, ये सबसे महत्वपूर्ण विषय है। दुनिया भर में समस्या है हमारे देश में, इसलिए आप सब लोग आपस में बात करके एक नोटिस दिए तो मैं उसको एडमिट करने के पक्ष में हूँ। आप लोग तय करके डिसाइड करिए, प्रायोरिटी आप लोग तय करना।
And Rajya Sabha will discuss the motion of thanks on the President's address in the post-lunch session. Let's get to some other news now. The Supreme Court has sought a response from the centre and the Bihar government on the deaths of children in the state due to encephalitis. The top court has sought a response within 7 days. The Supreme Court has directed the Bihar government to file an affidavit on the adequacy of medical facilities, nutrition and sanitation and the hygiene condition in the state. The matter has been posted for hearing after 10 days. The petition was filed by an advocate, Manohar Pratap. The petitioner sought a direction to the centre for constituting a board of medical experts and immediately sending it to Muzaffarpur. Remember, the death toll in Bihar has reached 152, with Muzaffarpur accounting for 130 deaths alone due to encephalitis. However, rains in Bihar are expected to bring some respite from the mounting death toll. Big story coming in from Uttar Pradesh. BSP chief Mayawati has ruled out any future alliance with the Samajwadi Party. Mayawati had discontinued her party's alliance with the SP after the Lok Sabha elections debacle, and making the announcement in a series of tweets. Mayawati blamed the SP for not following the rules or laws of an alliance during the Lok Sabha polls. She added that the SP's behavior post the Lok Sabha defeat has forced her party to rethink the future of the alliance. The announcement comes a day after the BSP Supremo held a meeting with the party workers to review her party's showing in the recent Lok Sabha polls. Now, a special series on Budget 2019-20 and the export of gems and jewelry is a major component of India's trade basket, and the industry has hit the slow lane with the export growth showing a declining trend. And ahead of the presentation of the Union Budget 2019, the gems and jewelry sector has sought a reduction in the import duty of precious metals. Here is a detailed report.
For decades now, the gems and jewelry industry has been a huge foreign exchange earner. It has made India a global leader in cutting and processing diamonds and some kinds of gemstones. In the upcoming budget, the gems and jewelry sector is seeking gold import duty cuts of up to 4% and up to 2.5% for cut and polished diamonds and gemstones.
Really not competitive in the international market. That is why our growth is coming down. As you might have seen in about 17 quarters, our growth at this moment is the lowest. So it needs some hand-holding, some support at this level from the government, and it will grow again.
The industry is also seeking relaxed credit norms for working capital needs and a conducive banking environment for exporters. By 2022, the industry hopes that the government's steps will help it to better access global markets and achieve an exports target of $60 billion.
Support by way of financial support by way of interest subvention or interest subsidy. A little less interest to these people can make them competitive. Some other support by way of export promotion can also be given to them, and this sector will grow very fast then.
Currently, the gems and jewelry industry contributes 7% to India's GDP. It accounts for 13.52% of India's merchandise exports. Most importantly, the industry directly employs as many as 5 million people. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And in midday news, time for a very short break. We'll be right back with more news. Don't go anywhere. Big story from Rajasthan, where in a tragic incident in Barmer district of the state, at least 15 people were killed and 50 others were injured after a pandal fell on them due to strong winds and heavy rains during a religious program on Sunday. Hundreds of devotees were attending the Ram Katha at a school ground in Barmer when the pandal was uprooted by strong winds. The injured were rushed to different hospitals in the district. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot today met with the families of those killed and injured in the mishap. Union Minister of State for Agriculture and Barmer MP Kailash Chaudhary also visited the hospitals to inquire about the condition of the injured. Earlier, Gehlot also ordered a probe into the incident. The state government has announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees each to the families of deceased persons and 2 lakh rupees to injured people.
भविष्य में ऐसी घटना नहीं हो, उसके लिए एडवाइजरी जारी करने का भी हम सोच रहे हैं कि अगर आप कोई भी प्रोग्राम करें तो उसके पहले क्या क्या कदम उठाने चाहिए, कैसे परमिशन लें, क्या उसमें सिक्योरिटी के प्रबंधन हो, किस प्रकार से सेफ्टी हो, ये तमाम बातें देखने लायक है। कई बार लोग जल्दबाजी में बिना कोई परमिशन के, बिना कोई ढंग से ऑर्गेनाइज कर लेते हैं। अब टेंट के बारे में सुनते हैं कि जो बलि होती है उसको ढंग से उसको फिक्स नहीं किया गया, तो ये तो जांच का विषय है।
And President Ramnath Kovind expressed grief at the loss of lives in Barmer. In a series of tweets, he expressed his condolences to the bereaved families. And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu also tweeted saying that he was deeply distressed by the mishap. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also condoled the incident, tweeting that his thoughts were with the bereaved families. He also wished the injured a quick recovery. On to some other news now. RBI Deputy Governor Vishal Acharya has resigned 6 months before the end of his term. Acharya was in charge of the Monetary Policy Department and he cited unfavorable personal circumstances behind his resignation. Acharya joined the RBI on 23rd of January 2017 for a 3-year term and he's returning now to the New York University. News from Jammu and Kashmir, where 4 terrorists have been killed in an encounter with the security forces in Shopian district of the state this morning. Search operation was launched by the security forces in Kigam area at Dharamdola village in the wee hours after receiving inputs about the presence of terrorists there. And as the forces tightened their cordon, the hiding terrorists opened fire, triggering an encounter.
This has been a very, very successful operation and very neat and clean operation in which 4 militants have been utilized. All 4 of them are IS inspired militants who were commanded by Shaukat Ahmed Bhatt of the same area. He was a militant who was earlier working with Hizbul Mujahideen and was active since 2015. He also had motivated 3 other local militants to join his group, and they were currently working with AGH Ansar Ghazwatul Hind.
And India has rejected a report by the US State Department on international religious freedom, saying that it sees no locus standi for a foreign government to pronounce on the state of its citizens' constitutionality protected rights. The Ministry of External Affairs said on Sunday that India is proud of its secular credentials, its status as the largest democracy and pluralistic society with a long-standing commitment to tolerance and inclusion. MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that the Constitution provides protection of religious freedom and democratic governance and rule of law, further promote and protect fundamental rights. And Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi has called the report as prejudiced and far from ground reality. He said that the religious freedom is in India's DNA and we do not need a certificate from anyone.
हमारा देश धार्मिक रूप से हमारे देश की स्वतंत्रता मजबूत है। मेरा देश अकेला ऐसा देश है पूरी दुनिया का जहां पर अलग अलग धर्मों, अलग अलग संस्कारों, अलग अलग संस्कृतियों और अलग अलग आस्थाओं के लोग पूरी स्वतंत्रता के साथ मजबूती से रहते हैं। जो एक धार्मिक स्वतंत्रता है वो मेरे देश का डीएनए है और इसका जो है वो किसी को सर्टिफिकेट की ज़रूरत नहीं है। जब तक ज़मीन की हकीकत और ज़मीन की सच्चाई कुछ लोग देखे बगैर अपने पूर्वाग्रह में अगर कोई इस तरह की रिपोर्ट देते हैं तो उस पर हमें क्या टिप्पणी करनी है।
International news now. The US plans to impose major new sanctions on Iran from today, signaling that it won't ease pressure. On Saturday, US President Donald Trump had said that new US sanctions will be announced on Monday. He had tweeted, "We are putting major additional sanctions on Iran on Monday. Look forward to the day that sanctions come off Iran and they become a productive and prosperous nation again. The sooner, the better." President Donald Trump's announcement comes at a time of escalating tensions between the two countries. On a Thursday, an unmanned US drone was shot down by Iranian forces in the Gulf. Thereafter, Donald Trump ordered military strikes against Iran before calling them off. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced on Sunday that he will travel to Saudi Arabia and the UAE to ensure we are strategically aligned with those countries, which are regional rivals of Iran, and repeated his offer for negotiations with Iran with no preconditions to de-escalate tensions. And in more international news, Turkey's ruling party has lost the control of Istanbul after a rerun of the city's mayoral election. Now, latest results showed that the candidate for the main opposition party, Imamoglu, had won 54% of the vote with nearly all the ballots counted. He won a surprise victory in March, which was annulled after the ruling AK party complained of irregularities. The decision to rerun the vote was criticized by Western allies and caused uproar among the domestic opponents as well, who said that Turkey's democracy was under threat. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has congratulated the winner. The result is being seen as a major setback for Erdogan, who had previously said that whoever wins Istanbul wins Turkey. And in sports news, Indian women's hockey team has clinched the FIH Women's Hockey Tournament, beating Asian Games champions and hosts Japan 3-1 in the summit clash of the FIH Series final in Hiroshima in Japan on Sunday. For India, Gurjeet Kaur scored 2 goals while captain Rani Rampal gave India early lead. From the Japanese side, Kanan Mori equalized. Gurjeet Kaur was adjudged the highest scorer of the tournament with 11 strikes to her name, while captain Rani Rampal was declared the player of the tournament. The world number 9 Indian team had already qualified for the FIH Olympic Qualifiers 2019 on Saturday after securing a place in the final of the competition. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the team following their win in the tournament. He said that the victory will further popularize hockey and also inspire many young girls to excel in this sport. And news from the ICC Cricket World Cup, where Pakistan beat South Africa by 49 runs in a thrilling encounter at Lord's in England yesterday. Chasing 309 for victory, South Africa collapsed in just 259 for 9 in 50 overs. And earlier electing to bat, Pakistan scored 308 for 7 in their allotted 50 overs. And in today's match, Bangladesh will take on Afghanistan in Southampton. The match will be played at 3 p.m. India time. And that is a wrap on this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for your time.